The new 2019 Infiniti QX50, debuting ahead of the 2017 Los Angeles Auto Show, may be arriving in a crowded segment, with mid-size luxury SUVs booming and automakers taking notice. The QX50 isn't a new model for Infiniti, but it was last sold as a 2017 model before skipping a gap year, if you will. But the QX50 didn't sit around in the basement bumming it for a year. It debuts an all-new platform for Infiniti, and under the hood is some brand new technology that has us intrigued. The QX50 will be the first vehicle to offer a variable compression engine, and Infiniti says that developing the SUV on a new platform allowed the brand to build in more interior cargo and passenger room, two things that can be lacking in some competitors, and the old QX50 for that matter. Here's what we know about the new QX50 so far, ahead of its official unveiling on Tuesday. The exterior might be the least exciting part of the QX50. Its styling very much apes the larger QX60 down to the matching rear window kinks that add some needed visual flair to the sides of the SUV. Up front, the two also are pretty much identical, with similar grilles and headlight clusters. The QX50 is a bit more angular, the hood is sculpted more aggressively, and there's black cladding around the fenders and side skirts. Our final judgments on the size of the interior will have to wait until we climb into the QX50, but on paper, the changes to the cargo area especially are impressive. The 2017 QX50 only offered 18.6 cubic feet of cargo room behind its rear seats, but the 2019 version expands that to 31.6 cubic feet. Slide the second row forward and that expands to 37 cubic feet. Drop the seats and you get 60 cubic feet. In real-world terms, Infiniti says that with the seats up, you'll be able to fit 3 golf bags back there. There is also a favorite feature of mine in the cargo area, underfloor storage to hide valuables from prying eyes. Now we get to the exciting part. The QX50 will debut brand new engine technology in the form of variable compression tech. At the bottom of each piston is a control shaft, which can change how high up in the cylinder the piston goes. The higher the piston goes, the more compression you have in the cylinder, so by changing the angle of the control shaft, the engine can switch between higher compression, which is better for efficiency, and lower compression for more power. The turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-cylinder makes 268 horsepower and 280 pounds-feet of torque. It's mated to a continuously variable automatic transmission, and the QX50 will offer both front and all-wheel drive. Infiniti announced some expected fuel economy figures too: 27 mpg combined for front-wheel drive and 26 mpg combined for all-wheel drive. Infiniti is also introducing new ProPilot Assist technology, which supports single-lane highway driving. The system helps the driver control acceleration, braking and steering while driving on the highway, but it doesn't drive for you. Infiniti clearly states that the technology is a step removed from autonomous driving. I'm not sure what this means. We'll have to get the QX50 on the road to see how it shakes out. Pricing and delivery estimate were not yet available from Infiniti.
Worried that the parts supply for your R32 Nissan Skyline GT-R is drying up? Well, you can rest easy now that Nissan has announced the Nismo Heritage program. The program is a joint effort between Nissan, its Nismo Racing division, tuning company Autotech Japan, and suppliers to provide parts for aging Nissan performance models, starting with the R32. Nismo has been working with GT-R owners to learn what parts are hardest to find and most critical to operation and passing inspection in Japan. Beginning on December 1st, Nismo Heritage will sell 80 new parts for the 1989 to 1995 Skyline GT-R, including wiring harnesses, hoses, and exterior parts like bumpers and emblems. If a part can't be reproduced, Nismo will explore remanufactured alternatives. After launch, Nismo Heritage will consider adding more parts to the R32 catalog, and also decide whether there is enough demand to expand the range to R33 and R34 GT-R models. Please get some Z-Car parts cooking while you're at it, Nismo. While this doesn't change the fact that the Skyline wasn't sold in the US, models from the 80s and early 90s are now legal for importation. So if you were on the fence about paying thousands to import a 25-year-old GT-R before on account of parts availability, your path to the Japanese supercar of your dreams is now clear.
Having a hard time getting parts for your R32 GT-R? Well, under this new program from Nissan's motorsport arm, it's about to get easier. Nismo have just announced that they will make brand new OEM parts available to owners of the R32 Skyline GT-R. The new program will be called Nismo Heritage and brings together Nissan Motor Company, Limited, Nissan Motorsports International Company, Limited, Automakers Japan, Incorporated, and various other suppliers. Nissan says they will initially start offering about 80 parts for the R32 Skyline GT-R, a model produced between August 1989 and January 1995. The initial catalog of brand new, remanufactured parts would include harnesses, hoses, emblems, body panels and more. Parts that Nissan say are needed to pass certification tests. Depending on the success of the program, the company is considering expanding not just the range of parts on offer beyond the initial count, but also to include components for the R33 Skyline GT-R and the R34 Skyline GT-R. The company says that if certain parts can no longer be reproduced or remanufactured, they will consider other methods of supplying such as refurbishing, rebuilding, or substituting. The Nismo Heritage parts will be displayed at this year's Nismo Festival at the Fuji Speedway. There is, however, one catch. Nissan only mentioned that the parts will be available to customers in Japan. So, if you're in need of R32 parts, it's a good time to have a friend living in Japan to reship it for you.
The main disadvantage of owning a classic car is that replacement parts aren't always readily available. Thankfully, Nissan wants to change that. Together with the newly formed Nismo Heritage program, the company has come up with a solution. R32 Skyline GT-R owners can now order replacement parts directly from the manufacturer. The Japanese automaker announced earlier in the week that it would be restarting production of specific R32 Skyline parts, which were originally produced alongside the R32 from August 1989 to January 1995. The replacement parts will go on sale in Japan on December 1st, and will include more than 80 items, everything from new front bumpers, to hoses, to emblems, and a number of other exterior components. It's the first run in what Nissan hopes will be a long line of Nismo Heritage program products. The company admits that even more replacement parts for the R32 could be added to the range in the near future, and that the series could extend beyond the R32 to cars like the R33 and R34, making it even more tempting to pick up a Skyline on the used market. Of course, the R32 Skyline was an obvious first choice. The supercar was recently named the best Nissan Nismo race car of all time, recording overall victories at the Spot 24 in 1991, the Australian Touring Car Championship in 1991 and 1992, and wins in every Japanese Touring Car Championship race from 1990 to 1993 in its time on the track. Nissan has yet to list a price for the proposed replacement parts, but don't expect them to come cheap. The entire catalog of parts made their debut at the annual Nismo Festival at the Fuji Speedway this past weekend, and will go on sale in less than a week.
Nissan wants Japanese R32 GT-R owners to be able to play the long game with the help of the just-launched Nismo Heritage program. The car maker, and Nissan tuner Automakers, studied the array of replacement parts for the coupe first nicknamed Godzilla. focusing on components necessary to keep the R32 running and able to pass vehicle inspections. Nismo Heritage chose around 80 parts to reproduce to OEM spec. Nissan built the motorsports monster R32 from 1989 to 1995, and the GT-R enjoyed turbo-boosted popularity thanks to the Sony PlayStation game Gran Turismo, the Japanese television series Initial D, and the Fast and the Furious franchise. According to a UK GT-R forum, Nissan built 43,934 units of the R32, far more than the R33 and R34, but still a specialty proposition. After nearly 3 decades of fanatic owners, hard driving, and wild modifications, some OEM pieces are difficult to source. The Nismo Heritage program opens to the Japanese market first. Bits like harnesses, hoses, pulleys, exterior pieces such as the front bumper, and emblems go on sale on December 1st. Nissan says it will watch the market, and could increase the R32 parts list with substitute, rebuilt, or overhauled components if a shortage of other critical parts becomes evident. Eventually, the program plans to expand its offerings to the R33 and R34 models.